Greetings to everyone watching across the South African nation, across the African continent, across the world. This is Bongani Mabizela, your host for the Kingdom International Business Network, broadcasting from the GNF TV studios in Johannesburg in South Africa. Greetings to all of you. Thank you once again for welcoming us to your house, to your offices, to wherever you are watching this show from. Let me take this opportunity to humble greet our father, the founding figure of GNF TV, the Bishop, the Honorable Bishop, Dr. Ndin Hlapo. Thank you very much, sir. Let me greet you specially. May good Lord look after you and bless you, sir. Greetings to our Mama Bishop V.E. Hlapo as well. And also greetings to all the pastors of this wonderful, wonderful ministry, which is called God Never Fails Revival Church. But also greetings to all the pastors across the world, across our country, across everywhere where this show gets into, where this show is broadcast into. And we want to thank you for sharing with us, for also sharing with others about this show and what this show is doing to you and also to the people around you. Greetings to everyone, ladies and gentlemen, across the country, across our nation, in all spheres of life, across the continent, across the world. We want to humble greet you in the most wonderful and precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Yes, indeed, this is a kingdom show, hence we have this wonderful greeting to all of you. Greetings to the saints across the world, wherever you're watching this show. Today is the 11th of September, 2020. Yes, indeed, the year has gone very fast. The year, unfortunately, has had its own hiccups, its own ups and downs as well. But we're going to reflect in business how this year it has been. But we're also going to be talking heart to heart and quite a moving subject on business that we're going to be sharing with you on this Kingdom International Business Network show today. Let me start by sharing with you my scripture, which is my favorite scripture from Proverbs 22, verse 29. It epitomizes, it talks about business, and also it enlightens one that once you're involved in business, what is likely to happen? It says, and I quote, "Do you see a man who excels in his business? He will stand before kings. He will stand not before unknown men." Let me repeat that once again. Proverbs 22, verse 29. Do you see a man who excels in his business? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men. Thank you very much. And that is true. In business, I've seen business opening doors. I've seen business opening doors for me. I've seen business opening doors for many other people. I've seen business taking people in front of kings, in front of queens, in front of the rulers of the nation, in front of the rulers of the world, in front of presidents, in front of prime ministers, in front of the leaders of any or of that particular nation. That is business for you, because business is all about your talent that God has put in you. And it will expose you, it will take you and expose you to the relevant people that will, of course, take advantage and also do good business with you through your talent that God has deposited in you. And of course, each and every one of us has got a talent that God has given to each and every one of us to showcase in this world. Today, I come with quite a heavy heart, I must be honest with you, to look into the year it has been, 2020. The year that promised to be what some people had branded a 20-plenty year to being a 20-heavy year. It is indeed has been heavy. Has been heavy because of what? Because of the pandemic that we have went through, that we are still going through. That is the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. Now, I want to say this, because of my involvement in business and also the different organizations that I've been exposed to in business, and the different interactions that I've had with business people, entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, those are that on top of their game, and everyone else in the game of business that I've come across. This is one pandemic that has hit business where it matters most. That has hit everyone that is in business, no matter in what business industry you've been in. Whether you are in commerce, whether you are in financial services, whether you are in engineering services, whether you are in retail business, whether you are in for instance, in agricultural business, everyone has been hit hard by this pandemic. I want to say this, it's not all gloom and doom. There is a silver lining beyond this pandemic. You and me in business, we just have to find it. And I want to say this again. In every crisis that we find ourselves in, indeed, we will triumphant, we will come out stronger and better. And I'm very, very, very positive that out of this pandemic, each and every one of us who is in business, determined as we are, passionate as we have been in business and building good businesses that will propel our economy to the next level, that will propel our economy to be recognized and also to flourish and be amongst the best economies of the world. I'm sure we are going to make it beyond this pandemic. I want to give you strength and I want to give you courage that indeed you're going to make it beyond this pandemic. This pandemic was just a minor setback. Indeed, it has been a setback. But let me tell you, I don't want it to sound as if I'm diminishing its impact. It has been huge, yes indeed. But I want to say it's just been a pandemic. And it has been, yes, a very, very big setback. But at the same time, let's not put that too much in front, because we might stumble in trying to find our way, into trying to find our feet, in trying to move forward. I think we need to be resolute, remain grounded, and make sure that we have all the necessary tools moving forward to make sure that we pick up the pieces, and also we formidably form good new partnerships, and we come up with new strategies of how to do good business beyond this pandemic, post the pandemic, as people will say. So today I'm going to share with you the survival kit. That's what I categorize today's session as, the survival kit, the survival plan, during the COVID-19 pandemic. How do we make sure that our businesses, even during this time, there is continuity? During this pandemic, there is definitely still activism in our businesses. We still are actively involved in trying to put together businesses. I've seen some businesses, unfortunately, folding, closing doors because of this pandemic. The event industry has been hit very hard, because event industry is dominated, and primarily it has to do with people. Okay, you can imagine when people have to social distance, when people, have got not to shake hands with one another, when very few people have to be gathered into a particular event, then for events management businesses, that hits them where it matters most, it hits them very hard. We've seen that happening, and where events industry has been shattered. Many other industries also have been hit very hard. Even the ministries as well, the kingdom ministries, religious, events has been hit very hard, because unfortunately we have to adapt to the new normal. We have to adapt to the new norm of doing things, with the very few people that have to be gathered into a particular event. But also remember, each and every government in each and every nation, as this pandemic got to be introduced, a new regulatory framework had to be designed. New regulations emanated, which governs as to how we do things, and which unfortunately has hit very hard on business in many, many sectors. Even in the financial sector, agricultural sector. But I want to tell you, irrespective of all of that, there is still a silver lining. There is still hope for the future for our businesses. And we need to make sure that we are grounded. We are going to share, and I'm going to share with you some of what I've categorized as making sure that there is continuity in your business. I'm in business as well. I've seen, my business taking a huge nosedive, okay, taking a huge negative dip. But let me tell you, we are on the road to recovery as I'm seeing it right now. We have put together strategies to make sure that we survive. Yes, we've survived the pandemic. The worst is over. We are beyond the worst. I want to tell you, we are beyond the worst right now. We are recovering. And let me tell you, we're going to recover all what we have lost and even get better and do even good business moving forward in the future. I want to encourage you wherever you are, be resolute, be firmly grounded, and continue on your road to riches and to wealth creation through your business. And make sure you adapt to the new ways and the new the trends of doing business. For instance, eventing, as much as it has, to a very great extent, taken a huge nosedive, but also, if you look at training, people that are involved in training, people that are involved in conferencing, have to adapt to new things, to new ways of doing things through technology. It hasn't been that easy because our people are not used to these type of platforms. It's a new culture, and in so doing, you find that these people have lost a lot of income. They've lost a lot of income generating events that will have made them to survive, will have made them to afford what they ordinarily would have afforded during and prior to the pandemic rather, which unfortunately has been the case in our country and has been the case in our nation, also in the continent, but also across the world. The pandemic has hit us quite hard, but we need to survive. We need to move on. We need to pick up our spears and move forward, as I will categorize it in business. So I will not share with you, amongst other things, how we can keep surviving and how we can keep our heads above the water and how we have kept our heads above the water and how also moving forward prior or beyond the pandemic, how do we make sure that we still do good business? All of us have experienced, a tipping a point during this historical moment in our lifetime in across the world. Many things, of course, will change, and many things might have already changed. Society is under a new kind of threat, which is this pandemic. A challenge that is transforming not only the way we live and interact, okay, but also our business continuity has been, to a very great extent, challenged. Our global economy is being turned on its head, reshaping industries with unprecedented challenges and uncertainties, but also opening new opportunities. Yes, during this pandemic, there are opportunities, new opportunities that are being opened. We need to see them. We need to find them. We need to seize them. We need to take full advantage of them. Organizations are accelerating their digital transformation processes, whilst their teams try to adapt to those changes as fast as they can, which is very important because technology has become the thing during this pandemic. Many countries across the globe have established new rules, new legislation, legislation framework that impact human behavior and are demanding people and companies to define new ways of working. All right? So just to give you, as amongst others, a background, as well, some companies have already started their transformational path of their operating models, and some others are still in definition, defining on where to begin. I want to tell you, you might be late, but rather be late than never. Make sure you start defining your own path. COVID-19 is pushing us to define and roll out these new models faster than originally thought. Best practices in leveraging technology and data for better business decision can accelerate the right path to transformation. This needs to be accompanied by changes in processes and culture. You know, our processes have to change. The culture that we got to be accustomed with has to change, and a new culture must prevail. Okay? There is no digital transformation without a cognitive transformation. We need to make sure that we embed that into our DNA. We need to reshape not only our habits, our behaviors, and the way we interact with each other, but also the way we think, our business, and the way we innovate beyond industries and beyond regions. Okay? One of the things that we need to look into, business continuity model. How do we need to make sure that indeed we still continue on the right trajectory of business? For instance, we need to make sure, amongst others, that we are online and we are still very much aligned to our visions, to our dreams of what we are pursuing as business. From now on, organizations to stay flexible enough and prepare for quarantined employees. You know, office and facilities shutdowns, decrease, in travel for the face-to-face meetings, abrupt changes in the behavior of your customers and all stakeholders. A quick turnaround project that focuses enabling core processes on three critical areas. For instance, we have seen, in recent times, face-to-face meetings has diminished. In fact, to a very great extent, has gone out the window because we are meeting through different modes of technology. We are meeting through Skype, we are meeting through Zoom meetings, we are meeting through Microsoft's meetings. That is the way to go. And we've been accustomed to that, and that is the new normal. And we need to adapt to the new normal because that is very important. How do we make sure that we take care of our infrastructure? Turning your company into a fully remote, operation will require senior management of your company to have a clear understanding of the day-to-day necessities of their teams. Okay? So that is very important. As much as in some instances we will find people, we've allowed them to work from their offices, but you still need to make sure that you're in control of the output work that those people are doing. Amongst other things, making sure that you're still putting targets to those people who are working from home, what exactly needs to be achieved by them in their respective roles in the company. Because that's the new normal. We are no more getting together in one office compartment doing work as we used to, but we are working from different locations, being at your home, but we need to still fit into the bigger picture, into the vision and the goals of the company. First, make sure your employees have access to the tools they need to do their jobs that are required at all scale. Be it internet connection, be it laptops, be it Wi-Fi, all of those resources which your people need whilst they're working at home. Connecting with teams regularly via video conferencing will be essential to maintain the necessary routine and delivery schedules. How do we make sure that we get in touch at all times, at all material times, as we need to get in touch with one another? Compliance issues can be segmented based on priority. We need to make sure, because whilst we're doing business, there are those compliant-related matters that we need to grapple with at all material times in order to make sure that we don't lose focus and we don't lose the very essence of doing our business within a particular regulatory framework. Finally, insofar as infrastructure is concerned, ensure that your employees can carry out their duties via a user-friendly, customer-centric approach. While it's important to establish a sense, of certain steadfastness, employees must understand the company-wide need to innovate and to find new ways to satisfy current clients, but also to find new ones in the process. So that is very important. The next one is, how do we make sure that our processes, are intact? Our processes will give us the best insofar as what we need as output for our businesses. If your company hasn't done so already, identify and map your core processes to assess their reassignment and adaptation. If possible, distribute the risk by relocating critical work amongst different locations. So in other words, all your critical work allocated to different people at different locations. Core processes must be adapted to the crisis situation to ensure continuity and minimal impact. That is very important. To oversee the transition, build a multidisciplinary crisis management team that includes one senior manager from each of the following areas. For instance, your infrastructure, your facilities, of course, your communication, of course, your legal framework where it's necessary because we are working within a particular legal framework. Your operations, how do you make sure still that your operations are carried in a manner that fits into the vision, that fits into the goals that you've set for yourself as a company? People management, HR systems, for instance, and processes, and build, of course, a contingency plan. If so-and-so is not available, who will take charge of this particular process that needs to be conducted? With different scenarios, you need to put certain actions in place. Action plans must be in place, and of course, you need to have owners to each and every processes and people that will be responsible and that will be given responsibilities to make sure that certain processes within your company are streamlined and they give you the necessary intended output and which fits into the goal and the bigger objective of the company. Other things that we've seen with processes as well, all travel that is not supremely essential must be cancelled. Where it's not necessary, things can still be done remotely. Cancel such. Even with meetings, meetings have and had to be moved to be online, as much as possible. Managers must be out in front with a planned cascade of possible actions. That is very important. Managers need to come up with clear, planned, cascaded, possible actions that needs to be embedded and that needs to be given through a process that is outlining clear, seamless processing mechanism that will make sure that as we carry on in doing business from our remote locations, we still are feeding into the bigger picture, which is the vision and the goal of the company. Ultimately, what we have set ourselves to achieve for this financial year or for this year, as much as it has been difficult because of the pandemic. Finally, insofar as processes are concerned, remember that as these changes do occur, based on your crisis management teams, of course, decision, please note that employees must be informed promptly and guided through these changes accordingly. It's very critical of importance to make sure that your staff, your employees are taken along at all material times in these processes so that they know and they understand how to do their work. That will fit into the bigger picture and the goal and the vision of the company. Amongst other things, communication. Communication is a very important element during this period and is a very important tool in your business. If you're not communicating, unfortunately, you are missing the point, because how will your staff and how will your teams understand what is going on in the business and how things need to be adapted to and the changes that are being introduced into the business? So what you need to do is a targeted high impact communication strategy within the company is key for an effective transition and the adoption of safe behaviors, also for strengthening relationships for geographically dispersed and remote workers. So even those workers that are dispersed at very remote geographical areas, they need to be informed of what is happening so that they can feed into the bigger picture of things. For instance, we are in the security industry. We've got people deployed across the country in different remote sites. How do we make sure that there is always constant communication? We're using different tools, of course. Amongst others, which we found very key, is your cell phone network tool. We make sure that we provide airtime to our staff so that we are able to connect with them and give the necessary messages that will communicate what the company is doing and what the company is moving towards. That is very important. And of course, empower your staff through making sure that these mechanisms and these tools are in place so that they can feed in to the bigger picture of the company without negatively impacting on the company moving forward. Throughout the world, we've seen this. Throughout the world, mandatory social distancing is affecting marketing initiatives and investments, events, for instance, fairs and congresses must now go digital. Content calendar priorities change, making inbound marketing now more important than ever, okay? Because marketing is all about meeting people. So you have to market differently. And social media marketing platforms have to be used more than ever before during this pandemic period. So you need to communicate your strategy, you need to communicate your marketing strategy, you need to communicate your new products, you need to communicate your new services that you're offering through these modes of platforms, social media platforms, so that you can take your product across, so that you can take your communication and marketing strategy across. We've seen, of course, cancel all events and make them visual if possible, or postpone them, But of course, more than not, you want to make sure you continue with your events. Where necessary, do events visually. We've seen in many instances that these visual events have been successful. However, it's an issue of the culture that needs to be changed, okay? And in some instances, it hasn't been as impactful and as positive as events people will want to have seen it to be, because people have to adapt to new things and new ways of doing things. And not everyone at all material times have got data, have got Wi-Fi connectivity where they can communicate through visual meetings. So it has rather been a challenge, but try as much as possible where necessary to provide such tools and resources to enable visual communication and visual discussions to make sure that your meetings and your goals and your visions are still are achieved through these platforms. Lastly, within the communication strategy, validate your ongoing communication channels, readiness for change to reach every stakeholder. It is very important that you reach out to each and every stakeholder out there, be it your business, your associates, be it your suppliers, be it your creditors, be it your clients. You want to make sure that you don't miss anyone within your business framework that needs to be communicated to, insofar as what the business is doing, how the business has been impacted upon by the pandemic, but how the business is approaching the impact positively and turning it around so that it doesn't negatively impact on how you're doing business with your clients. That is very important. So in coming towards the closure and conclusion, how do we move forward? And how do we then make sure, amongst other things, with all what we've discussed, your infrastructure, your processes, your communication, moving forward, this global crisis, forces leaders to think completely out of the box in order to save their business and protect not only the monthly income, but also the health of their employees and their families. Global leaders must take proactive actions by providing their teams with the right infrastructure, which I've already outlined before, and tools to work from home or from remote sites, flexibilize their operations. Make sure that your operations are flexible, and processes, of course, they must be flexible as fast as they can without risking their, of course, cyber security and compliance standards, and put in place business continuity plans that adapt geographically and culturally to local regulations and prevent many different scenarios, so that you're working within a certain paradigm and people understand that are in your business, that are in part of your team, they understand how within these challenging times, how to navigate and how to do still good business and achieve the intended results. Whilst we are moving forward, this COVID-19 pandemic is a global challenge that we all share at the same time. and invites us to forget about differences and work together towards a common goal. I've seen that in many cases as business, we need to collaborate for a common cause more than arguing, more than competing, more than working against each other, forgetting our differences that we still might have, because we want to achieve a bigger picture. And in so doing, together as businesses, as we collaborate, there is a bigger agenda to be achieved, and even bigger incomes or greater wealth that could be created by making sure that we collaborate in doing good business together instead of in silos and forgetting our differences. It's time to accelerate digital and cognitive transformation. I want to emphasize on that. It's time to be more creative and agile during this period. It's time to be kind, to find and create new opportunities with a cross-industry collaborative mindset. That is very important. We need to collaborate as business. We need to do things collaboratively in business so that we save our businesses through this pandemic, but also we collaborate for the bigger cause, for the bigger agenda that we want to achieve, and all of us in business. And it's very important to identify what are the other new business, industry, business opportunities that we can tap into. For instance, I've seen that irrespective of the pandemic, there is still a huge demand in other business to do good business. And especially where we are, I want to highlight maybe one or two examples. For instance, agricultural sector. Every day, no matter who you are, no matter what your belief system is, no matter black or white, your color of your skin, no matter what nationality you are, every day people eat something, eat some food. Agriculture every day is doing business. And agriculture every day is one sector that I can identify as a sector that one needs to look into very, very importantly and aggressively and venture into, because every day there is something happening in agriculture. Every day there is something happening within that industry. And of course, every day, not just every day, every minute, every hour, every second, people are eating. Every hour, every minute, every second, people are transporting and food commodities to different sectors, to different areas. So there is always something in agriculture. This is just but one area that I want to highlight to you. Wherever you are, you might have not probably considered agriculture. You might be feeling not agriculture for me, but let me tell you, it's not about being in the farms, being in the field, plowing, but also it's about how you can impact on the value chain of the agricultural industry. I want to close by saying, thank you very much for watching our show. There are no handouts in business. You don't have a right to anything in business. And don't lose focus on your dreams. Keep on dreaming, even during this crisis period that has been during this pandemic period. I can assure you, you can still dream bigger. You can still do good things. You can still do bigger things and better things. You can still take your business to the next level. Identify the opportunities that have come with this crisis. Every crisis comes with its own opportunities. Identify the opportunities that will have a meaning to you, that will resonate with you, that you'll feel very comfortable in venturing into. For instance, you might have been involved in other sectors of business, but because of the pandemic, it has exposed you to other different business sectors, to other industries. Allow yourself to venture into those industries. Get the right people, surround yourself with the right people that are going to take you by the hand or assist you in getting yourself acquainted with that business and that industry sector. And with that in mind, I can assure you, we're going to do good business together. And you're going to do good business wherever you are, in the world, in the continent, in our nation. There is still a lot of good business that still can be done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching our show today. I'm Bongani, P. Mabizela, and may the good Lord richly bless you and look after you as you are navigating through these challenges in business. May you be grounded, and may you see the light of the day, and also may you see new opportunities and seize them. Business is there for you, and take charge and take advantage of the opportunities that are coming out even during this pandemic period. Wealth is not money, but wealth is about ideas. And keep those ideas flowing, and keep those ideas coming. Don't be a coward. Don't be frightened when people tell you it has never been done, it cannot be done. Yes, you might just be the right person to do it. Yes, you might just be the right person to start doing it as well. And with that in mind, may the good Lord richly bless you. I want to encourage you to continue watching GNF TV. There are many shows within GNF TV. We've got health shows at GNF TV. Of course, we've got leadership shows at GNF TV. Please continue watching GNF TV, because you will be enlightened, you will be educated, you will be inspired. You will, of course, be emotionally be uplifted, but also spiritually, you will be enlightened and you'll be reached, blessed abundantly through this channel. There are services every day through our different pastors, even our bishop as well is there to share the word of God, to share some wonderful sermons. Just tune in into GNF TV. You won't go wrong. And don't move away from GNF TV. And thank you very much. May God bless you as you watch GNF TV, your station, your television channel of choice. I want to thank you very much, and may God bless you.